Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. I am going to do some batch cooking with some Mexican food today. So I am going to do some carnita meat, which I have in my Instant Pot right behind me. And the first thing that I had to do was get that ready this morning. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that right now. The first thing that I need to do is get started on my spice mixture for my carnitas. So this is super simple. I'm doing a lot of pork today, so I'm going to do a lot of the spice mix. So I'm going to start with 4 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to do a teaspoon of black pepper, 4 teaspoons of cumin, pretty liberal teaspoons. I'm not like crazy trying to measure this. A decent idea, close to what I'm saying. 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 3 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, and 2 teaspoons of onion powder. I just opened this package, so I am going to put some in here and then I will put the rest of this in a mason jar, and that's how I will store it in my drawer. Okay, so that is our spice mixture. Okay, so I have a whole pork loin that I put in here. I grabbed this from Sam's. These are a relatively inexpensive cut of meat, which is really nice for something like this, because I'm going to get at least 2 meals, if not 3, out of it. So I put the whole spice mixture on top, and then I am going to use some of this jarred lime juice. This is not a place that I would use a fresh lime juice because it's going to get cooked anyway. So I'm going to put, however much that was, maybe about a half a cup of this fresh lime juice in here. And then since I'm cooking this in the Instant Pot, I am going to add a cup of cold water. If I were cooking this in the crock pot, I would cook it just like this, but the Instant Pot, in order to come up to pressure, needs more liquid in it, so I'm going to add about a cup of cold water on top of this. And that is it. So I am going to put this on for 4 hours because I want this to be nice and tender. And then in 4 hours, our meat will be completely finished. This pork is really easy to shred if you give it about 4 hours in the Instant Pot. So that's what I'm going to do. And after that, my carnita meat will be completely finished, and I can either freeze it or I will actually probably can it because I have a lot more space in my pantry than I do in my freezer right now. So that has been going for about 4 hours. So the next thing that I am going to do is get going on some Pico de Gallo. So I love Pico de Gallo, especially on carnitas. It just adds a bit of freshness to a meat that has been cooking for several hours. So I really, really love that. The problem though is I have all of this stuff. There's no way we're going to eat this much Pico de Gallo. So I'm going to show you guys my trick on how I can make a lot and store it and still get fresh Pico de Gallo basically from the freezer later. So the first thing that I'm going to do is cut up some of my stuff. So I'm going to start by dicing my onion really small. And someone told me a trick to run this under cold water. So I'm going to give that a shot, see if that helps me to not cry as I cut this. Diced up, it's really small as I could get it. And then the next thing that I am going to do is I am going to dice up my jalapenos. So I'm going to do probably 2 of these as well. So I'm going to try to go for about the same size of dice on everything that I can do. I am going to take out the seeds and most of that membrane. If you want it extra spicy, you can leave that in. So once I get that quartered up, I'm going to just slice it really thin this way. And then dice it this way. So this is about the size dice that I want for my jalapenos. It's very close to what my onions are. So I'm going to finish dicing up my jalapenos now. Alright, so I have my jalapenos and my onions, and they're all diced up pretty similar. So the next thing that I'm going to add are my avocados. So I am going to go ahead and slice these up. These have been in the refrigerator, so I actually have no idea what I'm going to cut into right now. I don't know what kind of steak. Oh, they're a little dark, but they're okay. Any like really dark bits I'll take out. But if it's a little bit brown, I'm genuinely not that concerned about it. Like this amount of brown is fine for me for what I'm using this for, because I don't necessarily need it to be really pretty right now. So I am going to go ahead and dice this up as close to that size as I can get it. All right, there we go. So if your avocado isn't quite as ripe as mine, it's not going to be as mushy, but that's okay. I actually don't mind a little bit of mush to it. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up my other avocado. All right, I got my avocado all mixed up in there. And then the next thing that I added was just some lime juice. You can use fresh lime juice if you have it. If you don't, I would strongly recommend grabbing something like this. I always keep this on my shelf for times I don't have fresh limes, which is right now. So I'm just using stuff that I found in my refrigerator. So this is a perfect time to grab this and use it. This is actual lime juice. This is not citric acid with water, which is often what you can find in the lime juice that like looks like a lime. This is actual lime juice that has just been canned in here. So it has been pasteurized, so it isn't going to taste exactly like a fresh lime juice, but this is the next best thing to that. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to add in some garlic. So if you have garlic, fresh garlic, absolutely you can use that. Otherwise, I'm just going to use just some of this that comes minced. And then I'm going to add in some cilantro that I'm chopping up. So I'm just going to kind of roll this as tight as I can get it in a big bunch. And then just use my knife. Take all that cilantro and put that right in our bowl. Okay, and then from there, I am going to give this a good stir. See if I need to add any more lime juice, which I think I might need to add a little bit more. There we go. That looks good to me. And then here is the trick to this one. Okay, so I have most of my pico de gallo done. You'll notice there's one key ingredient that is missing, and that is my tomatoes. And that is because I am going to take half of this mixture and stick it in a mason jar, and then I'm going to stick this in my freezer. So all of the things that are in here actually freeze really well. I have frozen pretty much everything in here, maybe not the cilantro, but everything else I have frozen in here in just individual portions and use them for other things, and it works really, really well. The beauty of pico de gallo is the like bite of freshness that you're getting, and I have found that if I add fresh tomatoes to this that has been frozen, I get that exact same bite. So I am going to freeze half of this and be able to use it for another meal in a week or two. All I'll have to do at that point is just add a little bit of salt and a little bit of fresh diced tomatoes in with it, and it will be amazing. And then the rest of it, I'm gonna go ahead and finish using today. Okay, so then everything that I have left in here, I'm just gonna chop up some fresh tomatoes and add that in, and we will have pico de gallo to go with our carnitas for dinner tonight. So that's gonna end up saving me a ton of time later on, because all the work that I just did, I won't have to do any of that. All I will have to do is chop up some tomatoes, dice up some tomatoes, and add some salt, and then I will be done. So a couple of hours before I am ready to actually make my pico de gallo next time, I will take that jar out, stick it in the refrigerator, and it should be thawed and ready to just add the fresh tomatoes to it. Okay, got my hands a good wash. So then to that, I'm just gonna add some salt. All right, and that is it. So now we have a really delicious avocado pico de gallo to go with our carnitas tonight. And then I have another batch that all I have to do is put these tomatoes in the refrigerator, which they refrigerate for a while. So these will be good for at least another week, and I will be able to have fresh pico de gallo again with another meal in a week, week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, and take way less time making it. So that is our pico de gallo. I am going to finish up our carnita meat, and then dinner tonight will be ready, and then we will also have dinner at least for one other night here in a couple of weeks. Our meat is all finished cooking, so I am going to pull it apart. You can see how easy that just pulls right apart. And I'm going to put it in a bowl, and then I will start to kind of pull the fat out a little bit of it after it has cooled down a little bit. But that is actually super easy to do on this meat. All of the fat is just right on the top, so it's really easy to pull apart. So we will eat whatever we want to eat of this for dinner tonight. And then whatever we have left, I will either take it and put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it, which is a really easy way to store it, or I will can it if I don't have a lot of room in my freezer. So I'm not sure which one of those I'm going to do, but just in case I am going to can it, I am actually going to put my lid back on my Instant Pot and go ahead and hit keep warm. That's just going to keep the liquid that's inside of my Instant Pot warm, and that is the liquid that I will use in my canner to can this meat. And that's it for this meal, guys. It is super easy to make a lot of food and be able to have dinner tonight and then have dinner again in a couple of weeks whenever I definitely have had a long day and need to have dinner made for us. It's going to keep us out of a drive-thru and save us some money in the long run, so I'm very excited about that. It smells really good, so we are going to have dinner and I will see you guys next time.